Welcome to For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and this is your number one source for all things sports, health, and fitness related.
Oh, hold on, Coach. What does For the Health of It stand for?
Good question, Austin. The four and For the Health of It stands for our four principles, which are mindset, movement, nutrition, and recovery.
Okay, cool. Let's do it for the health of it then.
Welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and I have with me today a true legend in the game of strength and conditioning, Coach Corliss Fingers. Coach Fingers, if you could please go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Corliss Fingers. I am the Director of Strength and Conditioning at Bethune-Cookman University, located in Daytona Beach, Florida. I have been a strength coach for 26 years. I have always been at the collegiate scene. I started out at the University of North Carolina, and I left there after 3 seasons, and I went to the University of Maryland, where I spent 15 years. And then from there, Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for 4 seasons, and now I'm at Bethune this is my 5th season.
Good deal, good deal. So, Coach, what year did you get started?
1990. I started at Carolina in 94.
Okay.
I came out of school in 92, and I personal trained at a local health club for about 2.5 years. And I realized that wasn't for me because I made all my clients cry.
Right.
And I just so used to an athletic environment, but there were no women that I knew of and that I saw in strength and conditioning. I knew what I wanted to do, but it wasn't a field that was in my face that I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. You know, it wasn't like your doctor, your lawyer, your teacher, your fireman. It wasn't like that. It was like, I know I want to do something fitness-wise, but I didn't know what. I started out education, concentration in education. In my junior year at Carolina, I did my student teaching.
Right.
And I realized I ain't like kids. I'm like, you put me in a room with a bunch of 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, somebody gonna die. I can't do it. They're crying.
You had adults crying.
I can't do it. They want their mommy, I want my mommy. I can't do this. You gotta find something else. So my junior year, the only thing with all those credits that switched over was education to concentrations in wellness and fitness, but with no direction, and personal training and teaching aerobics was all that really was offered in 92. And look at me now.
Yeah, that's very true. So you mentioned, you wanted something in the athletic background. Can you go into your athletic background?
I started running track when I was probably like 5. And in high school, track, basketball, volleyball, anything they let me do, I did it, and ended up going to Carolina and running track there. So just being in the weight room, my physique, I was kind of proud of it at that time, which was uncommon because, most girls didn't want the muscles, didn't want the traps and the abs. And I was always flexing, which let me know something was going on. Like I knew sports is where it's at. Like I'm the oldest, and, daddy, of course, wanted a son. I could throw a spiral better than my son can. I don't want to tell him how to throw a football. So just being around, my dad, and he was always in sports. We was always racing. We would have street races. So just being in around sports and watching it, I knew I was fascinated how the body worked.
Okay.
I will say running track, back in the day, it was bathing suits, basically, 2-piece bathing suits, and the image. And I was comfortable, but I wasn't comfortable. Like, I was comfortable that I was told I shouldn't be, if that makes sense. Like, you got way too much behind, way too much hamstrings.
And I definitely understand.
That whole losing weight to get faster and going about it the wrong way and not really understand it. Just got more intrigued on how the body works, what makes you lose weight, what makes you gain weight, and just how things work.
Okay.
Put it all together.
Let's segue right there. I like what you said there. You said you were considered a little too big for your you were a sprinter, correct?
Correct.
All right, so yeah, you were considered a little too big, too muscular. Now that you're a seasoned veteran in the strength and conditioning field, and you know how the body works, can you go about maybe how you were coached improperly at the time or trained improperly at the time? Maybe I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
no, I will say that in high school, my track coach was late 60 white guy, short white guy that, you know, had his version of what a sprinter should look like. And I didn't quite fit in that mold. Most of the 4x1 did not fit in that mold. But whenever we didn't run fast, it was gosh, you just really need to lose some weight. You know, you gotta, I think that's what's slowing you guys down, that type of deal. To going to Carolina, and my strength coach was Rich Tootin, who ended up leaving Carolina to go to the Denver Broncos, where he spent like 17 years. He's like, put more weight on. You know, he's like, y'all running too slow, add another 45. Like, I'm dealing with two different, you know, spectrums here. So having somebody that was, you know, not a PE teacher or just kind of coaching track on the side versus having someone that studied the body and how it works really made a difference in intriguing my interest. It really was. I was like, well, that's not what I was told. You know, stay out of the weight room if you want to lose weight. I think, yeah, who I was and how I looked back then was not something that was used to at my high school.
Okay.
Because it was always, you know, compact. It was always, I arm wrestle you in a minute. Like, it was always that, you know, I'm going to wear a short sleeve, crop top,
right?
Because I worked hard for these abs and these biceps, and we were looking at some old home videos, and I actually was like, oh my gosh, where's the rest of my clothes? Like, I had no problem taking off the shirt.
Okay. All right. So I want to ask you this, because you've been an athlete and you've been a coach for a while. What makes a good coach?
I am a better coach than I was an athlete.
Okay.
I really think that I don't have the God-given talent to run the way I thought I was. Like, I was good in my high school. I was good in my town, was small, you know, city. I get to Carolina, and one of my teammates ran beside FloJo when she broke the American record the first time, and she was only a sophomore. I'm like, no, y'all fast. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm fast. Like, y'all really fast. So I knew that, you know, my talent may have maxed out, but I stuck with it. And then, but I could tell somebody else how to do something better than I had the talent to do it. Like, so if the coach was saying, you know, about arm drive, or if, you know, our coach was talking about foot placement, or, you know, wherever you should be on the track, and they were like, I don't get it. I was okay, what he's trying to say is, all right, just pretend like, you know, cheek to cheek, just dry your arm. Like, here I am, an athlete, still kind of not coaching them, but I understood what he was trying to say, and then I can explain it to someone else in a way that they could get it.
Right.
And so when we move forward, and now I'm a coach, I really do think I'm a better coach than I was an athlete, because I have a way to explain it to you in, you know, terms that you'll get. I got the science, but I'm not going to throw science at you.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in terms that, you know, you can understand. And it's kind of funny when you come into, you know, our weight room, you're going to hear me say something like, what in the world is she saying? Like, I got to sit on the toilet. You can't sit on the toilet like that. Like, what is it? But when you think about, when you sit on the toilet, okay, you got to stick your butt out and then sit back, right? Versus, you know, posterior chain needs to be up, and then you got to make sure that, I'm not going to throw that at you. Like, I'm a better coach because I can explain it to you. And if that one didn't work, okay, I'm going to explain it to you a different way. If that didn't work, then I'm going to show you, because I'm a visual learner.
Right.
You know, I'm going to show you, or I'm going to, okay, come in my office. Let me pull up some YouTube stuff for you and see if you'll get it. So I think what makes, you know, a good coach is someone who's willing to take the patience and the time, you know, connect with people, meet them where they're at. You know, if they're up here, meet them there. If they're down here, meet them there. But have some patience with them. Like, you'll come in our weight room, and I personal train everyone. So everybody has their own workout plan for them. Now, we're pretty much doing the basic stuff, but we may not be on the same level. If I have to keep you on the broomstick for 3 months, you're on the broomstick for 3 months. You know, I had one of our athletes contact me this summer saying he finally was able to put, you know, 185 on the bar on a power clean. And I'm just as happy and excited for him. He's just now getting 185 on there.
Right.
But he stayed in the 135, here my rack. I'm staying right. Coach Fingers told me to stay right here. And he was comfortable. I said, no matter what nobody tell you, and they said, come on down here. No, this your area. You stay right here and make him feel comfortable with being at his level. I've had some extremely talented athletes and didn't push them before they were ready to. I had Willie Quinn at Southern University who it took him a while to get 95 on bench press, and I made sure nobody picked on him because he was not lifting, 225 or whatever. So I think that what makes a good coach is someone who's get to know their athletes and make them feel comfortable.
Okay. Now, I interned under Coach Finley and Coach Woodfin and also Mark Rosen in South Dakota. And they all brought up the word serviceable and being a service, serving your athlete also with serving the sports coaches. Can you go into that?
You mean being an extension to their staff?
Yes, ma'am.
So ultimately, if the basketball coach is not winning, they're going to get fired.
Right.
I usually say if a coach is extremely successful, we had nothing to do with it. If they suck, it's all strength and conditioning's fault. I mean, it's kind of like a joke that's around the strength and conditioning world. Right. But ultimately, they're the ones whose, head is on the chopping block. So what I try to do is I try to make them better, as a coach. So what can I do to help you out, help you win a championship? So if it's just making sure your athletes are in shape, making sure your athletes are ready to finish. My biggest thing is finish. I don't want that whole, mental toughness, but just finish what you start. Then I'm going to take that on and I'm going to do that. I'm going to make this part of your team easier for you to deal with. So I am a part of that coaching staff. I'm going to give my input. I'm going to give my suggestions, but it's ultimately up to them if they want to take them or not. And you can't get personal about it. Like you can't get your feelings hurt because again, they don't get them L's. They get them L's. They don't get the W's like they're supposed to. They're the one going to get fired. Now, if you're associated with that person, you might be going with them. Right. But in most cases, you work for the athletic department. So it is a service to the coach. They are the ones. So if they all of a sudden say, well, I don't like squats. I've never liked squats. I'm scared of squats. I don't want my team doing squats. That's your team. You recruited them. I'm going to find another way to get that leg strength without doing the squats to make that coach a little bit more comfortable. And then eventually maybe try to introduce it a little later. Hey, coach, now that we're, gotten the girls comfortable, now that we got the guys comfortable, can we introduce a little bit more? But I think because of the fact that I really am about individualized programs, training each athlete individually, that lets the coaches, let me do what I do and a little bit more comfortable. So in a way, we kind of servicing each other. They trust me to
do your job.
Yeah, I don't just go in. All the times we sit down at the beginning of the year and say, okay, hey, what you got? What's the roster look like? All righty. What are you looking for? What type of offense you try to run this year? What are you looking for this team? I've been with Coach Sims now 5 years, and I feel like the focus has changed a little bit. When I first got there, they were powerhouses. It was like, oh, they're strong, but they're not as fast. Okay, so we worked on speed and bar speed in the weight room. And then it went from speed demons, them Florida boys can run now.
Yes.
They were fast, but they were this big. So I was like, oh, we got to get a little bit bigger. So now the focus shifts. So I'm going to help him be successful. And in turn, the more communication he gives me, he's helping me as well. So it is a service, but it's also a working environment. Like it's a co-work. They know my ultimate goal is to make them successful.
Gotcha. Okay. I like that. So if a coach did say he doesn't want his athletes squatting, what is a couple of exercises you could do to circumvent that? Deadlifts.
Okay. If it's a matter, most of the time it's the loading of the bar on the back. It's so I don't want my athlete squatting. Be more specific. What type of squatting are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Well, when they got the bar on the back and they're doing this and they got all this weight on, I want doing that. Okay, we're gonna do that. We'll do a front squat. Or we'll do a goblin squat, or one-legged squat with their leg on a pad or on a bench or something. There's so many different ways. Like I remember early in my career, I was that pig-headed person who thought I knew everything. You know, Mad Dog said we're doing this. This is what we're doing then. And as I've gotten older and I've learned more and I've got more arsenal in my bank, there's no reason to, you know, fight for something. I pick my battles. All right, you don't want to do squats? We'll do something else. And I get $500 for supplements. Like I'll find something else to argue with versus exercise, because you got so many different things now that you can do than one thing. You know, I had a coach that wasn't too fond of power clean for the pitchers. Okay, I know other ways to train the nervous system, to fire that hip, to get that, you know, those two things working at the same time, other than a power clean or a hang clean. I got other things that we can do that are somewhat safer that he might feel, you know. A lot of it's just ignorant, so I might educate him on that exercise and what I'm trying to get from it. And if still like I'm just not comfortable with it, not a problem. We're gonna move on, find something else.
All right. It's funny you said that. Here in Jackson, when I first moved up here a couple of years ago, I got hired, and the AD was like, "Well, I want you to be the track coach and the cross country coach." I was like, "Okay, good. That's what I wanted." So I go to the first couple of meets, and there's only one other guy besides me that's the track coach and the cross country coach for the school district. I'm like, okay, so what are these other coaches? Oh, they're the basketball coach. I said, really? So they was like, yeah, man, you know, we get our athletes, our basketball players to run cross country for their conditioning. I was like, okay. I was like, you know, y'all could. Nah, man, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
All right. It works for me. It works for y'all.
Works for you, and you suggest a little later, how about we try a little shorter distance right, instead of the cross country. When you get coaches that are stuck in their ways, you just let them be. But I always give professional opinion. In my professional opinion, it would be better for your basketball players to not run such. You start switching over muscle fibers, you know, instead of that fast switch. Now you're tapping into a different energy system. Like, if that's what you want, okay, if that's the type of, you know, game you're trying to play. But if you're trying to play a quicker stop and go, you may not want to do cross country, but hey, you know, that's what you want to do and it's convenient for you. All right, well, maybe we could discuss it again at the end of the season. At the end of the season, started showing them some other stuff. And then hopefully by the time the next year come around, they've moved away from cross country. But
yeah, it's funny. It is funny, but it is what it is. So can you, I know you already kind of went into it, but can you talk about what it's like being a strength and conditioning coach?
No 2 days are the same, I tell you that. It's exciting. I have yet to hit snooze. Even during this whole quarantine, I still woke up early, but I couldn't imagine doing anything different. I really couldn't, just because each day is you get an opportunity to make a difference in someone else's life. Every morning when I head out, I pull to the edge of my driveway and I say my little prayer, you know, covering me throughout the day. And I say, just use me to touch somebody today. Every night when I get on my knees and I say my prayers before getting into bed, thank you for using me to touch somebody's life today. So being a strength and conditioning coach is fulfilling. It's exciting. When you see the small gains, we celebrate the small, you know, whether it's finally putting 185 on power clean, or moving up from 25 dumbbells to the 30-pound dumbbells. It makes your day just that much better. It's an early start.
Right.
30 minutes from school.
Okay.
And our first group is anywhere between 5:30, or 6, depending on the day. So let's say the group is at 5:30. We're there by 5, setting up the room, you know, making sure everything's ready to go, which means I need to leave my house at 4:30 to be there at 5, which means I'm getting up
at 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, 4:40, 3:45, 4 o'clock. But once, you know, I park that car and start opening up that door, Hey, Coach Fingers, some people beat me there, start, all right, let's set this up. And then you go from group to group to group to group. There are going to be some times of paperwork and meetings. And then you get ready for the afternoon. You got another group coming in, or you got practice to go to. And practice, I'm not just there, and I train my strength coaches as well, my assistants, to not just go to practice just to be a practice. We're not a cheerleader.
Right.
I'm a Wildcat, but I didn't go to Bethune-Cookman. I went to North Carolina. I'm a Tar Heel. Okay. So when I'm at the games, I'm not watching, woo, yay, good job. I'm watching your movement. I'm watching your weaker side. I'm watching how you plant. What side you automatically reach with. Just little things like that to make you better in the weight room. So there's a lot involved. There's so much involved. And then we're a neutral area. We don't say who starts, who travels. We're a neutral area. So because we're a neutral area, we get a lot of kids just, it's going to be hard for them now with COVID, but come in and just want to talk, talk about, anything. I've been hitting them up with nutrition a lot lately. So we could be talking about recipes, what's a good place to eat, or have I tried putting soy sauce on this? And, latest, I see you all up in here looking good, smelling good. What's her name? You out there now, just it's a area where they feel safe at, they feel comfortable. So it makes your job that much more fun and engaging because you're making a difference, whether it's just listening,
right?
Whether it's giving suggestions on whatever. My son comes with me. He was coming almost every day. So
how old is your son?
He's 11.
Okay, cool.
So he's the only child, and all of those athletes are his big brothers and big sisters.
Right.
And so I try to make sure that what I'm instilling in him, they're going to turn around and instill in him because he's watching them. He ain't watching me. He's
right.
watching them. From the music they play to the way they dress, the way they carry themselves, how they have their hair, little things like that. So being a strength coach is a lot. I wear many, many hats. I'm not just training them in the weight room and for them to be leaner and faster and quicker and more explosive, but better men, better women, the ones that got kids that I know of, ask them how they're doing, how their kids doing, do they need anything, when they come to visit, when they're going home. So it's a fulfilling job. It's no 2 days are alike.
Okay. I like that. You mentioned before in one of the conferences we had that you're a Black female, and a lot of these athletes come from homes where they're raised by a single Black female. So if you could please expound on that.
I feel that they're more comfortable with me than they are with, some of the football coaches upstairs. I am going to be in your face. I am expecting nothing but greatness from you. I am hard on you, but I'm the first one to pull you in with your stinky, sweaty, grassy self in for the biggest hug ever when you do something on the field or, whatever. I'm so proud of you because I saw the hard work to go into that. But at the same time, I done made you mad a few times that you wanted to choke me. Right. And I'm okay with that. You got to get in line. I got grown men with wives and kids and careers that been wanting to fight me. You have to stand in line. I've been doing this too long for you to go get the line. So they respond to me a little differently. Like, it's so funny where you'll have, majority of them will call me Coach Fingers, but as soon as they come in with, Coach Fingers, I got this splinter. I don't want to go in the training room because I don't want them to think I'm a punk. Can you get it? I pull out my little tweezers and pull it out and blow, and they're like, thank you, Mama Fingers. So now I'm Mama Fingers.
Right.
My assistant was saying, he was pretty much raised by his big mama from Louisiana and his mom. And he's been there longer than I have. And he was just saying some of the things that I say to him and I demand from him. The previous head strength coach was a male. If he would have even came out his mouth with some of the stuff, he'd be ready to fight him. But it's like the way I say it and what my intentions are, he understands. He said he just sees it as his auntie or their mama that's looking out for him. Because I'm like, you know better, so do better. You got to do it. Or I keep pushing him. I'm like, your programs got to be better than that. Come on, we got this team to win. He said, that's not one of my best work. Ain't good enough. You're a Black male. Ain't good enough. Do it again. And, you make me sick. And then he come back with something, and I'm like, that's what I was looking for. All right, let's do that. And he's like, okay. So he sticks his chest out a little bit more. It's different. and you can tell the ones that were raised by the strong, female. And especially when I bring my son in, and my husband works on campus too, and I make all of our lunches, they'll on their way to Chick-fil-A or to the caf, and I pull out the refrigerator and they're like, Coach Fingers, what you been cooking up in there? That smells good. Oh, yesterday I made a little, beef stroganoff with some noodles, and they're like, you made that? Yeah. Doc having the same thing for lunch? Yep, he having the same thing for lunch. They're like, wow. So now not only can they relate to someone that's been in their household and expected more from them, they can relate to a hardworking female who's wearing many hats. Like, I'm cooking, I'm taking care of my child, I'm yelling next set and telling my son, don't forget to carry the 2 on his math homework. I'm doing both. It looks like their mama, who was working a couple of jobs and making sure they did what they were supposed to do and shuffle them around the football practice and still whooping their behind when they acting crazy. So it's just different. They relate to me a little bit differently. All of them, the males, the females, and to have somebody that look like you, what you're saying, skin tone, and the position that I am, and still pushing. I'm still pushing to be great. They see me learning, see me growing. I just get a different response.
Good deal, man. I like that.
I don't ask for your respect. I really don't. I don't ask for it.
Right.
I demand it, but I do it in my actions. So.
Okay. I'm gonna get to that one, Austin. Give me a second. How long have you been a head director? Is Bethune-Cookman your first time being the head?
No. I was at Southern University.
Okay.
In the SWAC. So I was first female strength coach at the SWAC. That was in 2013. So been a head ever since.
Okay. So about 8 years. Or going into okay. So Austin wants to know, do you think Black women in HBCUs should be the new innovation in strength and conditioning?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Austin, go ahead. I'm gonna let you say that.
Absolutely, because one of the things that we know how to do, we know how to think outside the box. We know how to multi-talent, wear many hats, multitask. We know how to make a little bit of, something big out of something small. And a lot of the HBCUs don't have the budgets that, some of these other schools may have.
Right.
For me to spend 18 years in the ACC, that's the type of what I'm used to. Every place that I've been, they've excelled. I get to Southern, and when I got there, they were horrible, like every sport. By the time I left there, every single sport played in the championship game.
Nice.
Won it or played in it. Track and field went from dead last to second in a conference. All right. Had the fastest kid in college at a HBCU. And one of the main reasons why they took off is because I don't know what mid-major is. I didn't participate as an athlete at a mid-major. I didn't start my career off at a mid-major. I didn't know what an HBCU was. I'm the only one in my family, on my mother's side and my father's side, that did not go to an HBCU. So I didn't understand that. All I knew was big time athletics. Mm-hmm. So that's what I brought with me. My level was here. I'm not coming down to meet you at yours. You're going to have to rise up and meet me at mine. And they did. So know that I have the multi-million-dollar weight room, that I had in Maryland, because I had Kevin Plank as an athlete, or, Boomer dumping money into the program. No, I didn't have that. But I know how to build some boxes. I know how to go to Home Depot, and we're going to go outside the back with some hammer and some nail, and we're going to build these boxes, because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to a certain type of plyo. So I think that women, could be head strength coaches at not just HBCUs, anywhere, right, and bring a whole lot to that athletic department just because of what's embedded in us. I did the race roundtable, and we talked, it was Craig Fitzgerald. I think he was the only white guy. And then it was like three of us from other universities that were Black. And so they were trying to ask, how is it being, the only Black at your university, whatever. And I was like, no, y'all can talk about that, because I have been oppressed. I am not only Black, but I'm a female. So I have been dealing with this type of discrimination for the longest time. So y'all go ahead and talk, because if we talk about me, I've been here for a while. Right. So I don't think just HBCUs, I think anywhere females could be directors and thrive just because it's just in us. We're always overlooked, so we know how to rise a little bit higher and get noticed. We, always in the backdrop, so we know how to work in the shadows, but yet and still help those and not look for praise. Like I say in the past few years, there's been a lot of attention, coming my way. I did a podcast yesterday for Samson Strength, and I'm just like, why y'all calling me? And then, it's just taking me a while for folks to be like, because you've been doing this a while, like folks respect you and look up to you. And I'm not used to it because I'm always in the back shadow. That's what we do. That's what a lot of Black women do. And we know how to work in there and still, make things happen. So I'm pushing for more. I'm actually, anytime I get it all the time, I get ADs and I get SWAs and I get, people reaching out to me, hey, we got a position open if you know someone. And they're not asking particularly for a Black female. They just asking, if I know someone, because I've been doing it a while and what's good and what's not. I'm pushing Black females their way. Yep, sure do. Got somebody for you.
I like that. I definitely do. So we got about 7 minutes left before we get out of here, Coach. But I want to ask you one of my trademark questions. What is your why? We know what you do, but why do you do what you do?
My AD now says that this is not my career. This is not my job. He says this is your ministry. And he said that for the first year that I worked here. He said, yeah, Coach Fingers down there in our ministry. I said, why do you keep saying that? I'm like, have you heard some of the colorful words that I use in my weight room? I'm like, my ministry. And it took me a minute to realize it, because you're touching people in different ways. It's not about the weight room. You're touching them, in the weight room, but your touch is more, so much more than just lifting weights. You're bringing something different to their life. And it's your calling. It is your ministry. It is why you're here and it's what you do. And I really believe that about all the places I've been, I really do think here has been the most beneficial. I think one, because it was founded by a Black woman, Mary McLeod Bethune. And so it's just something about legacy here and tradition and strong Black women that just really thrive and feel like you have a purpose. So my why is, it ain't me, it is God. It's a high power. It's my ministry.
I like it. All right. So tell me real quickly, if you could, what is the difference between Coach Fingers in 2020 and Coach Fingers in 2010?
One, the child. But I think the 2020 versus the 2010 is looking at it through a different eye. I think then in 2010, I was still at Maryland. I think I was a little comfortable. I've been there for a while. I'd worked with so many different sports. There were 6 of us, so there wasn't so much pressure on me. 2020, there's more pressure because one, I'm running the show. I got, everybody's life in my hand versus just 2010. I had whatever sports I was working with at the time. I had those kids, their dreams, their goals, their future, just those few. Now it's 330 that I'm responsible for. So I got more eyes looking at me. I got more pressure to just be great in their eye and show them what they can do. And then again, my son, I want to make him proud. It was funny when I introduced him to a strength coach one time, he was just like, but he's a guy. He can't be he's a guy. He can't be a strength coach. I'm like, I know, they make him be strength coaches too. So 2020, a different eye, a bunch of eyes on me now, different pressure, but it's more so the pride that I have and who I want to make proud is a lot more than it was in 2010. And make my mama proud, make, my family proud. But here it's make, Mary's memory proud. But, my AD, my husband, my son, but all of my athletes, the coaches too, but the athletes, those are the ones that see me day in and day out and what I represent. Because honestly, 98% of them are not going to go pro, but I want them to be better, entrepreneurs, better employees, better husbands, better fathers, better women, better children, just better people. And they're going to learn a lot of that from the weight room.
Good deal. Good deal. Coach Fingers, we certainly appreciate you being on with us today. If you want, you can shout out your social media or how anybody can contact you.
Absolutely. It's real easy. Fingers is my last name. So Fingers, Corliss Fingers, at cookman.edu. I have my personal one, just my first name and last name, Corliss Fingers at Gmail. You can follow me on Twitter at Corliss Fingers. Everything's real easy. And I think Facebook is the same thing, Corliss Fingers. Don't have Instagram, but it looks like I'm going to have to because my son has picked up surfing and a bunch of people out there have been like sending me stuff on Instagram. I'm Instagram.
Okay. Well, we certainly appreciate you, Coach Fingers, for coming on For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian Paget, and thank you for tuning in.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. You guys wash your hands now.
You too.